Good afternoon, Rotarians.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Thank you, Bob. See, you're always the one just making sure that I get welcomed. Good afternoon, Rotarians. Welcome to the August 7th meeting of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. I am President Tim Lilwitz, and thanks to the 50 or so of you that have braved the morning storms and decided to visit us instead of the fair on the first day of the fair. Thanks to District Governor Norland Hankey and his better half Cindy for sort of welcoming us here today. Various of us, if you haven't had a chance to meet Norland, you'll get to hear from him, and I'm sure he'll stick around and meet you after today. And thanks to Patty Quinslick for volunteering to do our moment of inspiration. She'll be up here in a minute to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a four-way test, and then we will greet our fellow Rotarians. So, Patty.
Shouldn't surprise any of you, but I am going to talk about a health issue. So I'm going to talk about how you can up your ante or expand on an already existing healthy behavior and inspire you to think about that over the next month or two, and maybe think about trying to use a current behavior and make it healthier. So I'm going to talk about using a pole for exercise. Now, I would imagine some of you, especially you men, sort of have this image of a scantily dressed woman. I'm not talking about that. So I hope you're not disappointed, but what I'm going to talk about is walking and using a pole when you walk. You may not know that, but over 50% of all adults in this country use walking as one of their base kinds of exercise. So, how do we up the ante on walking? How do we make it more? Well, by using one or two poles. Pole walking, also by the way called Nordic walking, was started in the mid-1900s by some Olympic athletes in Scandinavia who did cross-country skiing, and then hit the summertime when there was no snow, and we're thinking, how can I do this and still stay in shape in the summertime? So they took their ski poles and would start walking with their ski poles. So that's why it's called Nordic walking, or walking with poles. So what is the benefit of walking with one or two poles? Believe it or not, if you use two poles, it uses up to 90% of all the muscles in your body. So not just your legs, it uses your shoulders, your back, your core, etc. So it uses 90% of all the muscles in your body. You can burn up to 67% more calories, which if you've got limited time, not a bad thing, or if you're trying to maybe take off a few of those extra pounds that you get after eating these wonderful lunches here. Also, it is gentler on your joints. So those of us who are getting older and started thinking about knee replacement, hip replacements, or whatever, actually it's easier on your joints. In fact, it's used by people who are in rehab for people who have joint replacements to use, because it takes pressure off the joints, but yet allows them to stay in shape. It also improves your posture. So as we get older, we do, especially if we're working around computers, we tend to start bending over and hunching our shoulders. It forces your shoulders back and makes your posture better. And it also strengthens, obviously, your upper body because you're using it, and then will lower your risk of osteoporosis. Also improves your balance, believe it or not, by using poles. Can be used by all ages, all fitness levels, and if you do use them, you'll actually get fit faster because it uses your whole body. So it is used in rehab, as I said, for people who've had joint replacement, people with Parkinson's, and people with lower back pain. It also, if you do it, it lowers your risk of dementia, heart disease, and other chronic diseases like diabetes. So you can't go wrong with a pole. So my inspiration to all of you is to think about a healthy behavior you already have and how you might up that ante a little bit and become even healthier. So, will you now all stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test?
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
We you. Go ahead and read your name. When I'm downtown, because it just takes up too much time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's great to know. Nice to see you. How do you know Doyle?
We were in the Northwest bunches of years. Before that, Mother's Day.
Yeah. I visit their club, and they have a real fun culture as well. Like
Yes, I've always enjoyed that. Schedule got
Well, good to meet you. Good to meet you. Good to see you, Jordan.
I'm an entrepreneur. And some consulting. There we go. How about you?
I just retired and retiring from the Ivy Cups. I'm 67. Love working for them. It's a wonderful work culture. I just finished right.
Did Greg just drop off the desserts or what? Oh.
I gotta shake your hand, Kitty.
All right. We do have a few guests with us today. So for guests, please stand and remain standing as I call your name, and we'll recognize you at the end. First, we have Assistant District Governor John Rogers is here. John's a Rotarian with the West Des Moines Rotary Club. If you haven't met John, he's a great guy, and I had coffee with John a few weeks ago, and it was supposed to be a half an hour, and we talked for 2 hours. So if you want to waste some time having a good conversation, talk to John.
Just wait till you give him the mic, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. Next is Doyle Sanders, a Northwest Des Moines Rotarian, and is employed at something called the Dickinson Bradshaw Law Firm. I don't know who would work there, but welcome, Doyle. And then we have Isaac Short, a summer intern at Assured Partners and a guest of our own Ann McFarland. So welcome, guests. Thank you. And now, where in the world is Club 27? For our guests, the Rotary Club of Des Moines is the 27th club in the world of over 36,000. So we like to keep track of where we've been and where our exciting journeys take us. And here we have Doug and Val Saltzgaber, past president Doug Saltzgaber, hosting the Drake Mandela Fellows for dinner. And Doug, the title of the segment is "Where in the World?" So where is this? So is that a secret location we can't know? Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Doug, for sharing those photographs. I'm sure it was a lovely night. And now we're getting close. One of these weeks we're going to have it like where it's queued up and it goes right when I say it. All right, we'll try again next week. There we go. See? The hottest Rotary segment around Rotary law and disorder. See, that's what you have to figure it out.
Jim, is that the song they play for the president who stood his board up at the meeting?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. When you're late to the board meeting, yeah, you get that song. I know Kevin last week tried to steal, bring back "Did You Know" and bring that back as the great segment, but this one is way better than Kevin's "Did You Know." Who would want interesting trivia facts that make you look smart? You want useless information about our system of justice in this country, don't you? So this week, and I think I remember hearing about this, again, it's from a few years ago, but so we are Dateline February of 2021. 3 men in West Hollywood were out looking for expensive breeds of dogs to steal for a profit, because apparently that's what you do if you live in West Hollywood. They ran into a dog walker and during the middle of the day and stole 2 of 3 essentially priceless French bulldogs from this dog walker, and unfortunately shot the gentleman in the chest. Now he turned out to be okay. Turns out those were 2 French bulldogs owned by Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga, upon hearing all this, immediately posted to, I think, her social media channels or whatever, a $500,000 award, no questions asked, for return of the bulldogs, right? Okay, so you probably know where this is headed. In steps Jennifer McBride. Jennifer McBride reported that she found the dogs and responded to the reward email to return the dogs. She ultimately brought them to the local police station and said she wanted the $500,000 reward. Well, detectives began questioning Miss McBride. Turns out Miss McBride was in a relationship with one of the 3 men who was arrested for the incident where they stole the dogs. Fast forward, Miss McBride pleads no contest in about 6 months later to knowingly receiving stolen property and being an accomplice to this robbery. So that's where it ends, right? Lady Gaga doesn't have to pay the reward. This is America. We just move on. Nope. Miss McBride hires a lawyer and sues Lady Gaga for $500,000 and $1.5 million in damages because of her emotional distress in not being paid the $500,000 reward for returning the dogs. My first question when I read this is, who's the lawyer that takes that as a client? But anyway, that's a whole nother story for another day. It turns out justice does prevail in the end, and the judge held that, and I want to make sure I get it right because I had it written down here. Ms. McBride was not entitled to thereafter benefit from her wrongdoing by seeking to enforce the contract because she had sued for breach of contract and fraud by false advertising. So in the end, justice prevails, but I thought that lawsuit was an interesting approach to trying to collect money after you receive stolen dogs from your boyfriend. So anyway, moving on. As you know, the district governor is here today to give us an update on the state of District 6000. So what we thought we would do today, and I won't take up too much of this time because I know this information is probably not the most exciting we deal with in the podium on a weekly basis, but we wanted to give you a sort of a state of the club update because there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes with the board and the committees and the chairs to sort of build the momentum that I think we've all picked up on over the last year. So I have a few slides. Kitty, do you want to pull up the first one? So as you know, and as Kevin did a great job during his year of explaining, Kevin led us through a strategic planning process. And again, he did yeoman's work in doing so, setting up a bunch of meetings, and we had great participation. And that resulted in this visual summary that he's shown you throughout his year, and that I'm, of course, going to show you throughout my year, and Josh hopefully as well. But if you haven't heard or if you don't remember, what that stands for is the 3 pillars of our club: build relationships, build our membership, build our community impact. And the reason we came up with this illustration is if all 3 of those things are strong and are progressing, we have a very strong and vibrant club. But we need all 3 of those, right? Not 2 of those pillars, 1 or 2 of those pillars can't hold up the entire club. So that was, again, our sort of overall strategic plan in those 3 areas. And what we did, if you want to move on to the next slide, Kitty, is we came up with some metrics to help us sort of monitor our progress. Now, please do not squint and try and see all these numbers. Obviously, if anyone wants to see this afterwards, they're welcome to. But I have a few things I'm going to point out, and probably what I'm going to tell you verbally is more important than all the numbers on there. The good news is the short summary is we've started off very well in our 3-year strategic plan, and our numbers have shown that. first of all, on the top up here, and Kitty, do we have a pointer down here?
It's,
Oh,
you
wonder if I borrow that?
You gotta turn it on.
You play for the Cubs, I'm not gonna throw it.
See, all right. All right. Where's the power button, Kitty? Is it?
Left side, top button says power.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, there we go.
You can just leave it on when you're done, so I don't embarrass myself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking all the pressure off you. If you can, it's not, I can start. So the top thing, again, you probably can't see it, is the financial metrics. Thank you, appreciate it. The financial metrics, and what this chart tells us is, again, the years are there across the top. So we went back to 2021, 2022. And as I'm sure most of you know, and we've said from the podium before, we've had a negative budget in this club for a number of years. So this was the last year, 2023, 2024 was the last year before the strategic plan. 2024, 2025 was Kevin's year. His budget for last year was a deficit budget of about $15,700, right? And what we came up with metrics was for me to basically cut that in half during my year, and then in Josh's year to get back to level. Well, again, the good news, we've got the financials from the end of the year, June 30, 2025. Kevin came in, he did a fantastic job, and came in at just about $6,600 as a deficit budget. So we're well in front of our metric, and in fact, my budget for this year, which we recently completed, is about a deficit budget of about $5,500. So I'm hoping to, Kevin blew his metric out of the water. I'm hoping to beat mine and get closer to zero, and hopefully that kickstarts Josh off for a positive budget in years to come. So we've done great work there. The next metric we use, I'll jump down to here. This is on engagement, right? And again, engagement is something I'm going to stress throughout my year to this group, because engagement doesn't just mean, here at Thursday meetings. It also means all of our fellowship outside. It means joining committees. It means having a cup of coffee with another Rotarian. But the metrics we used for engagement were Thursday attendance, and Kevin had a goal of 63 during his year, and he's already, as you can see from the metrics we got from last year, we're already above that. We're at 66, and about 15 people at non-Thursday events, so fuel or service club or service opportunities, that sort of thing. So again, the engagement's been very strong, which I think, again, people have picked up on, and we've had a very positive vibe in our club. And then finally, and I skipped over membership. You all have heard Kevin did a fantastic job with membership. He had a goal of losing only 5 members last year, and again, we've lost members for 20 plus years in this club, right? Kevin led us to the first year in over 20 where we actually had a gain. We had gained 1 net member last year, so that is fantastic. I hope to continue that. My goal when we set these metrics was to be even during my year, so if I can beat that by a couple, again, we're putting Josh in the driver's seat for his year. And one thing I wanted to point out that I think really emphasizes not just the membership growth but the engagement. We've kept track over the years of the percent of members we lose in the first 2 years, right? So new members that come in and either aren't engaged or don't, for whatever reason, feel welcome, those types of things, don't see the benefit in Rotary. Historically, that number has been, as you can see, about a third. We lose about a third of those members. We'd set some modest goals to bring that slightly down over our 3 years. I thought this was the most impressive number when the board went over these. We last year only lost 19% of members in the last 2 years that have joined. So I think that really speaks to we're getting the right members to join the club, and we're engaging with those members, which again will only help the club build upon those pillars we talked about. Finally, again, there's some specific numbers here on satisfaction. This relates to the survey that you all just completed. If you remember, Kevin did a more lengthy survey at the start of his year last year that probably took, 15, 20 minutes. It was a little bit more robust. I sent out one just a couple weeks ago that was shorter. Thanks to all of you. I think we had 75, if I'm right. Is Carter here? Does that sound right? 75 that completed the survey, which is really good feedback, right? I mean, I know our club is about 150 or so, but for 75 people that completed it gives us a lot of data. So thank you for that. And those numbers came back again very positive in the metrics we've been tracking, including satisfaction and inclusion, and your satisfaction with the programs. So again, that was a very quick summary or recitation of a lot of the things we try and monitor behind the scenes at the board level. We thought it was important for you guys to at least be exposed to that. If anyone ever has any questions about it, please see me or the board, and we can walk you through more details. But I think it's important again that you know, and that you know our club has a lot of good positive momentum right now, and it's going to be my job, and I'm intent on again using that term engagement, and you'll hear me emphasize it throughout the year to keep building on those numbers and building on those pillars. So with that, and I'm sure he's going to talk a little bit about what I just talked about from the district level, but with that, I want to introduce our speaker today, and it's District Governor Norlin Hinkey. And Norlin, I have a few, biography here I want to read just to make sure.
You must have made them up.
Well, I don't know, I printed it off the internet or something.
I hope you
I
didn't.
shouldn't believe it, right?
Tim, I hope you didn't get them from Moraine.
So the most important part is Norlin is here with his much better half, Cindy, and they live in DeWitt, Iowa, and enjoy Iowa Hawkeye athletics because they're sane and they're normal people. I hear Doug groaning over there. And they've been married for 53 years. They have 2 grown children and 3 grandchildren. Norlin is a member of the Rotary Club of Clinton and has served as a board member there, chaired their fundraising committee, their 100th anniversary committee, a number of other committees, and he has served as the chairperson for the community service grant team at the district level, served as the 2022-2023 District 6000 Foundation Chair as an assistant governor the last several years. So join me in welcoming Norlin Hinkey, and I think you'll enjoy his talk.
Okay, everybody, you just violated the first governor's rule, and that's standing up. I know it's respect, I know it's tradition, but I'm a Rotarian. I just happen to have a title, so I appreciate it, but not necessary. And Patty, that was terrific. I think I mentioned you, but I'm going to publicly commit for what started out as my better half, and then I think Tim went to very much better half. Before I leave town, I'm going to buy her 2 walking sticks. So we're going to go. And I noticed, Patty, Steve Moraine, when you talked about a pole, his eyes just lit up. Come on, Steve, I want to retort here.
The only poles I know are Polacks.
So it's my pleasure to be here today. What a fantastic meal. And Tim, as a retired bank president, you don't want to assume, because that's 3 words that you don't want to have. But I got to figure, as a bank president, whoever put that metric together has either got to be a CPA, a banker, or an attorney, right? And thank you for leaving this on. Now, Kitty, I can figure this out? Yeah. Oh, look at that. I've got 4 segments. Doyle is going to speak in the foundation. Doyle is the endowment chair. And I didn't know this, but Doyle and Tim work the same place. And so when I said to Tim, I gave Doyle 3 minutes, he said, good luck with that one. But I think you all know, in October of 2022, excuse me, Mario was selected as Rotary International President. So from October 22 to June of 25, this gentleman has probably spent years building his Rotary career to be the Rotary International President. And I had the opportunity to meet him at Zone in Chicago. He sent an email out. Zone Institute is where, like, the committee chairs and foundation, et cetera, go for education from the zone area. Excuse me, sinus drainage, I really apologize. Anyway, he sent an email out and said, we have a board meeting. If you, governor elects to come in a day early, I'll sit down with you. So Cindy and I went in a day early. It's only a 2.5 hour drive. I had the good fortune of sitting across the table from Mario for about 45 minutes. And, you know, what a passionate, what a focused, what a driven individual. And then every district governor in the world, what did she say last night, 500 and something? I think that's a small number. Anyway, you were required to go to Florida in February of this year for 5 days of training, intensive. And so, just to share with you quickly, you start out in the morning and you have a general session, and obviously they're dynamic speakers. And then in the afternoon you do the same thing, and in between you have small group sessions. And that's 20 people, but it's never the same 19 other people. So it really brings in the cultures of the world and the internationalism of the world. I'm sitting by a lady from the Netherlands, a man from Japan, a lady from Russia, a gentleman from Germany. Just a little side note, that was in the foundation one. He's sitting to my right. They're talking about fundraising, and he leans over and goes, if I did that in Germany, Hitler would come out of the grave after me. But it just internationalizes Rotary. And you're the Rotary Club of Des Moines, but you are Rotary International. Just a month before, I mean, imagine making that call after over 2 years of knowing you're going to be Rotary International President, and then have to call the current president and say, can't do it. And just by coincidence, the gentleman, and I think he's from Japan, don't hold me to that, but the year after, he has serious cancer and also dropped out. So Larry Lunsford from Kansas City will be the Rotary International president after Francisco. So Francisco is the Rotary International president this year. Obviously, I haven't had an opportunity to meet him, but up at the International Convention up in Calgary, I went to a small group session where at that time President Urchek and President-elect Francisco was, and the international chair of the foundation spoke. And what impressed me about Francisco is he talked about all the schematics and membership foundation, all the basics. But what he really emphasized is the membership. And as I said in your board meeting, that's one of the things you guys are talking about is networking and building relationships. And that's what it's about. And as I go down, Tim basically could give my speech because engagement and retention is a big part of it too. So in the district goals, we have 4 areas: membership, foundation, public image, and that's going to be the biggie. And I'm looking for my young gal, there she is. In public image, going to be a key part of it here. And then technology. Membership, they count Rotaract members now, and so we have slightly more than 3,000. I was going to give Tim a hard time, but your membership chair didn't go up, and you actually, Tim, might want to go on and change your goal, because first of all, congratulations on last year gaining members. That is absolutely fantastic. We have lost well over 300 members in District 6000 the last 3 years. And if you think about the resource of that, of the membership and the talents and the skills and the volunteerism comes with it, that's an impact. It's also an impact on the district budget. But if we have 66 Rotary clubs, we have 9 extension clubs, we have 3 Rotaract clubs, there's over 3,000. If we grow 30 members, and the key part is what Tim and your board talked about, and that's engaging and retaining. 30 members out of 78 should be a very, very reasonable goal to attain. Extension clubs tend to be the ones that are really picking up. Everybody kind of know what an extension club is. I don't want to be redundant here, but okay. I see heads bobbing. There's 9 of them. It's Rotary's diversified way of trying to pick up members who don't want to or can't make it to the noon meetings. And if you look at the younger generations, Kathleen, who is a chairperson of the Iowa Methodist Foundation, I had a position with them, volunteer. But anyway, doesn't make sense, but she has her doctorate in generational differences or methodology. And she's a fantastic speaker. You might even want to use her. But she talks about what drives Gen Y, what drives Gen Z. You know, I'm a baby boomer. We do it because it's the right thing to do. Gen Y, Gen Z, they're very focused. They've got time demands, they're growing their vocations, they've got budgets to live with, or tight finances. They have 3 kids and 2 parents to keep track of where they're going. And so they're very focused. Every club that is an extension club kind of tends to focus on 2 things. Fellowship, which I'm really glad you guys are talking about, because a lot of the long-time clubs haven't really given that concept yet. But they focus on fellowship and they focus on project. They usually get together, they spend maybe a meeting talking about what they want to do. They spend a meeting just having fun, and then they have 1 or 2 times where they actually go do something, they get visible and get out and do it. And that seems to be where it's growing in. So we're going to try to keep that going. On foundation, I have a gentleman with me here who is the chair of the endowment fund, and I don't know if you heard, but I told Tim that I gave Doyle 3 minutes, and Tim said, good luck with that one. So this is the endowment chair for District 6000. When I was foundation chair, Doyle built a program of giving and information so people could understand. Doyle, would you want to come up and share? Get it from the expert instead of from me.
To be clear, Norland said I had 3 or 4 minutes. So I cut my 5 minutes down to 4, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll still not make it. But many of you are Paul Harris Fellows, as I know. I recognize some of you here in the room. And Paul Harris Fellowship started back in 1957. And acknowledges the people who give $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation. Back in 1957, $1,000 was a lot of money to a lot of people. And so the foundation established what's known as the sustaining member concept. And the sustaining member was one who gave $100 a year to the foundation. But according to the Consumer Price Index, to make the same impact that a sustaining member made in 1957 would require a person to give $1,144 a year now instead of $100. And translated the other way, the impact of $100 in 1957 this year would be $8.74 to be the equivalent of $100 back in 1957. But it also means that we need 12 Rotarians to give $100 per year to make the same impact that 1 Rotarian made back in 1957. And that's why the district committee is asking every Rotarian in the district who's not already a sustaining member to pledge to become a sustaining member by giving $100 per year. And I understand that $100 is still not nothing, but as you all know, it's a meal out with a family of 4 at a very conservatively priced restaurant. We know that Rotarians give a lot more than that to the foundation, but our ask is for those who don't want to or cannot afford to give more than that. We have members who want to focus their giving on local causes. I understand that, we all understand that. But when you give $100 to the Rotary Foundation sends $50 back to the district. So that means that of the $100 you give, $50 comes back in the form of district designated funds to help local clubs attain or apply for community service grants. This year, your club can apply for $7,500 community service grant, apply to the foundation for that. But the problem is that under the current funding, we don't have $7,500 to give to every club. And so again, if you pledge to give $100 a year as a sustaining member, that helps everybody in the district and helps make that $7,500 available to every club, or every club who applies. I do have some pledge cards if anybody wants to see me afterwards, and it's just a thing, hey, I'm signing up to do it. If you want to do it, you can do it at my Rotary website at rotary.org. And when you do it, you want to make sure that you note that 50%, to make the 50% come back, you have to check the box to make it a share fund gift. So remember that share fund. Besides the annual fund, the Rotary Foundation has an endowment fund. And that fund retains the principal forever and only spends its earnings each year. And it has a goal of having $2.025 billion in 2025, at the end of 2025, in assets and pledges. And the pledges, of course, could be in the form of planned gifts with life insurance or beneficiary designation on your life insurance, your retirement plan, or gifts in your will or in your trust. And if you think about it, if you're a Paul Harris Society member, you give $1,000 a year, and if you give $25,000 to the endowment fund in your estate plan or whatever way you want, that means $1,000 comes back every year, just as you are giving $1,000. And by the same token, if you're a sustaining member and if you give $2,500 to the endowment fund, $100 comes back every year, and that continues into perpetuity. So as a sustaining member, you can, to be like a sustaining member forever, all you have to do is give $2,500 per year and have that money come back. Again, you want to designate that you want it to be the share fund, because out of the 100 or whatever comes back from the endowment fund, if it comes back to the district, it has to be designated as the share fund. If you have any questions about how to make the gifts to the Rotary Foundation, to either the annual fund or the endowment fund, you can look online or you can talk to me.
Thank you, Doyle. That's a great job of covering a lot in a little bit. So you might have a future speaker here, because if you gave him a full program, I think you'd enjoy it, because it's really informational. It really is. And it does a lot of good. I would encourage your club to think about a community service grant program, because it's a way, dollar for dollar, to double your money on a project you do up to 7,500 bucks. Polio Plus is an area I really want to focus on. It's been I think it's since the 80s or so where the focus has been. We're down to Pakistan, Afghanistan. Every month there's a Polio Plus for the governors and for the chairs of it. And we had one Tuesday night, excuse me, but a month ago they had one, and it was a video in Pakistan. And there was 3 adults and there was about 4 or 5 young people that I'm gonna guess 10, 15 years old. The young people have polio, so their legs are of no benefit to them. They're sitting on their hind ends, they got their hand palms down, and they're walking the streets of Pakistan. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, what an outlook on life. I'm 12 years old, and that's what I got to look forward to. So we need to wrap up polio and really focus on it. And I'm going to show you where, if you remember 2 years ago, John Onkenfels and Peter Tihan flew the world. They had to delay it 4 years because of the COVID situation, and then because of Russia attacking Ukraine, so they had to reroute. They raised well over $2 million. The Gates Foundation is still matching 2 to 1. John, I saw John, we visited Iowa City AM, John's a member of that, and he told me they just came back from New Orleans, they got a $5,000 check, that's $15,000 because of the match. And so they're still doing that. But Peter when I was up at the international convention, I ran into John, and he said, hey, stop by the booth and talk to Peter tonight. And I did. Peter is organizing a new trip with Ed Galkin. This is probably in your road, you probably can't see it here. Ed is 89 years old. So 3 weeks ago this Saturday, I called Peter and I said, hey, can you put a 2-minute video together for me? And he did, which I'm going to show you. But he said, I just got done filling out paperwork for the Guinness World Record. Ed will be the oldest pilot to fly the Atlantic in this coming flight coming up. And so it's, I tell you, when you see him, and I'm 89, I'm hoping I'm doing the same thing he's doing.
Hello, Rotary District 6000, and the very best to you, Norland, as you begin your term as the new governor. Life is busy for all of us, but now, more than ever, promoting the Rotary 4-way test and the efforts of all Rotarians around the world is critical in making the world a better and safer place for our children and communities. Hello, I'm Peter Teehan. In 2023, I, along with my cousin and your PDG, John Ockenfels, became part of aviation history with our around-the-world 90-day flight in a single-engine airplane, a mission we called Around the World Flight to End Polio. With your support, we flew 30,000 miles and made 37 landings in 19 countries around the globe. Since then, we have given more than 150 speeches around the world about the flight and polio. With your support, we've raised not only awareness of Rotarians' efforts to eradicate polio, we raised, according to Rotary International, significantly over $2 million to support Rotary's efforts to end polio now. From our experiences, John and I learned we no longer have hope that we will see the end of polio. We believe. Today, I'm pleased to announce a new flight. We are calling it Circle the Atlantic, Flight to End Polio. This 37-day flight around the North Atlantic will make aviation history as we make 15 landings in 11 countries to raise money and awareness to eradicate polio once and for all. On this flight, Rotarian Ed Galkin will join our flight team. With John serving as flight technical advisor, Ed will be at the controls with me as he becomes, at the age of 89 years old, the oldest pilot in history to fly an airplane across the Atlantic. We hope that you, District 6000, will once again join us as we take flight to end polio forever. We ask for your support of Circle the Atlantic Flight to End Polio. Together as proud Rotarians, we will bring the world closer to a new reality, a polio-free world once and for all. Please join us as we take off on Circle the Atlantic Flight to End Polio. Believe with us that together we will end polio now.
2 years ago, there were only 25 cases, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Last year, it spiked up to 99. This year to date, it's back down to 17. And I think one of the factors is that if you think of the governments of Pakistan and Afghanistan, the communications to the people is quite direct and quite limited. It's limited as to what they get to hear. And you bring in individuals that they've never seen before and you say, I'm going to put a drop in the mouth of your child. They don't trust us. And so what they did is they went in and they developed a relationship with the mothers, the women of the villages. So now the mothers know the people coming in are there to do good. But just Tuesday night, the impairments are obviously money. The other one is there's a lot of third-party renegade out there that are quite frankly killing a lot of the volunteers. And so it's a challenging thing, but they're making progress, they're getting it done. We're gonna look to John Ockenfels to keep us updated, and I'm hoping somehow, some way we can figure out District 6000 doing a little bit to support this. Public image marketing. And we talked about this, but you know, I think you've got some great ideas, and I'll just say here, I was gonna save it to the end, but I met with your board, and your club is so focused. If all the clubs were as focused and specific as to where they're headed and how they're gonna get there, I think we would change the loss of membership and go to gain in membership. But we have always, as a district, focused on you need this many members, you need this many dollars, and that's true, I'm a banker. But how you get there is different, and your club's doing it through the internal networking and getting out. And I think you're gonna work on getting the message out, because we as Iowans, you know, we were taught you do it, you keep quiet about it, you don't brag about it. Well, we don't need to brag about it, but we can be sincere about it, and the world's changed with social media and all the things. And 60%, 60+%, District 6000 is 60+ years old. We need to build for 2030 and 35. So we need to get to those who are innovative and dynamic, and there's different ways of doing that. They're specific, they're focused. They look at fellowship, they look at projects, and the good thing of Rotary, unlike other organizations where it's maybe just focused on glasses, you've got 7 areas in Rotary you can focus on. So if literacy is your gig, that's a good deal. If it's women's health, if it's peace, if it's world peace, whatever, you know, there are 7 areas, so each member can put their time and their money to a specific, and I think that is where some of the growth is taking place, because that generation wants to be focused, they want to do, they don't just want to listen to. If I think of public image, if you go back and you think about the old westerns and the stagecoach, and think about that stagecoach wheel, excuse me, to me, public image is that outside rim. It all encompasses everything. You got the spokes coming in. That's RILA, that's Youth Exchange, that's membership, that's foundation, that's Iowa Hope, that's a Codepec coming down in. You got the big hub that's holding them all together. That's Rotary International. We're all an international organization, and they're the crux that holds it together. But the cog that drives it is the club, because everything starts and everything finishes at the club level. So I think if we can get that image out there, and your club has talked about it, identifying members. Rotary gained 1.2 members in a 2-year time period. Rotary, 1 million, what did I say?
You just said 1.2.
Oh, okay, 1.2 million. They lost 1.2 million in the same time period. I don't think you need to be an Einstein to figure out it's lack of value to that membership. And that's where your concept of networking and building relationships and putting value into a member of being the Des Moines Club, your retainage, your engagement that you're talking about, I think that's where it's going to happen. If we can retain and engage, and we can grow 30 members out of 78 clubs, should be pretty attainable, and I think you've got the direction to do it. And I think we all know that we belong to Rotary because we like making things better for our community. In the Des Moines area, your concept, I'm sure, is to build the economy, to build the quality of life, to build the future opportunities. And that's why it feels good. So there's a personal, professional return out of that membership also. There we go. Technology. Technology is an area that becoming increasingly more important. And so, to give you an example, the governor-elect is supposed to do a one summit. I wanted to do it in multiple locations, but we couldn't get it done because we didn't have enough help to make it happen, so we only had one location. Bill Bruce is in Denison. He follows me as governor. I asked Bill to put together a team, and as I go around, and if there's somebody here interested, just last night out in Jefferson, young man said, yeah, I'd love to do that. If we can get 10 people to do that, you don't need it because you got Kitty, who is, by the way, she is tops. She is good. But if there's a club out there who's struggling to put something together, here's a resource they can call up and help them technology-wise, or even like my conference to put that on. And so we're seeking about 10 people that we can put together on a technology team. I guess I pushed it too hard. Kitty? District Administrator, I think you know the name, Carolyn Scharf. Carolyn was administrator for 19 years, 20 different past governors. Erna was one of them. The past district governors each wrote Carolyn a letter, and at my gavel passing handed those letters to her with some money that they gave her in retirement, and she was just thrilled about it. But if you think about running a company, if you own the company, if you're the CEO, think about having a different CEO every year. That's what District 6000 has. So my year, I'm me. Dave Cook was different than me. Steve Weineke was different than him. She's the glue that held it together because there's consistency there. And actually our district, I told Tim, Bill and I, and we're bringing Gretchen in, are doing the same thing you guys are, so we have a 3-year plan of consistency. I'll back up. Gretchen is, Megan Van Coten, it's a Pella name. She's a young, innovative, enthusiastic, and Kitty, you'll love working with her. She is so committed to doing a good job. I called her last Friday, and I could tell she was so sick you could hardly hear her on the phone. She was just really not feeling good. But Ryla was coming up, and there was something I needed to get out, and I said, well, you know, if you can, Megan, if you can't, I know you're not feeling good. 2 hours later, she's got it out there. But she's going to be a very, very good replacement for Carolyn. Club focus, I have 2 challenges for you. One is to plant a tree, not just environmentally for the clean air, the cooler air, but there's psychological studies that people grow up or people live in environments where there's trees, shrubbery. It gives them a much better feeling about themselves, a much better self-esteem than if they're in an area where it's just barren. And so the challenge, Tim, is to put a tree up for each. I don't care if you do it as a group, I don't care if you put it in your backyard, I don't care if you pony with the other clubs, just do it. And then the other one is an increasing issue, and that's mental wellness. It's just become such a more predominant issue. Again, I was at Iowa City AM, Cindy and I were Tuesday morning, and Greg Probst is one of the lead people with Ryla. And after I got done, he stood up and he said, of all the speakers they had from Sunday through Thursday, the only one that got a standing ovation was the one on mental wellness. And he said it wasn't what that person said, it was the subject they were talking about. The youth are just looking for some direction, some assistance. When I retired from banking, I became a financial specialist with the Extension Service. Don't ask me why, but then during COVID, they asked me to head up a mental wellness program across the state, which we did. It wasn't unusual to drive into a community, stop at the bank or the co-op or the machinery dealer or a business, and they would say, wow, your timing is so good. 3 weeks ago, we had a 16-year-old that committed suicide. Great athlete, great family, can't figure out why. I don't even know the names, but another one was a 12-year-old girl. Very active in drama, music, committed suicide. I don't know if this statistic is current, but during that time period, 1 out of 17 high school youth seriously contemplated suicide. And I do not mean, what about suicide? I mean, seriously contemplated it. There's NAMI, there's the hospital systems, there's the school systems, there's a chamber. You've probably got some experts in your club. Decide what you want to do, but please conduct a mental wellness program. Your club has it, and that's a positive attitude. If you believe you can do it, you can do it. And so keep that positive attitude you've got up there. I'd like to open it for a discussion, but it's after 1 o'clock, and so I think we better move on. But we'll stick around. If you got questions for me, if you got suggestions, if you want to tell me anything, please do. You're a great club. I was going to have John say something, but I'm going to let him visit another time. You have a tremendous AG here. His responsibility is not to run the club. That's Tim. John is one of those support beams for Tim between the district and the club, and he does a terrific job. And I suspect, Tim, the next time you have that hour-and-a-half coffee, I'll probably get an email of you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here. And Mr. Moraine, it's always good to see you, Chief.
Thank you, Norland. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you and Cindy do for the for Rotary, and we're truly grateful to be a part of District 6000 and your service above self. Very briefly, I know we're out of time, so quickly, upcoming meetings. Graham Gillette, program chair, is killing it this year to start off. So remember, you and a guest, if you wish to bring one, need to RSVP by Wednesday at 9 a.m. to Kitty. Think about someone you can bring who might be interested in one of these speakers and would make a great addition to our club. We've got Jeremy Gosh, CEO of Hy-Vee, obviously a well-known company here in Des Moines, will be here on August 14th. August 21st, Dr. Maija Chung, from the Chief Medical Officer of Kids OR. And then on August 28th, we have Matt Strawn, the CEO of the Iowa Lottery, will be here to present to the club.
Hey Tim, can I interrupt you a second?
Sure.
When you have the CEO of Hy-Vee, a couple clubs I thought come up with a really good idea, like the grocery store in our area. You spend $37.27. They want to say you want to up it for the athletic club or something.
Yeah, sure.
Round it up. They suggested we contact an exec at Hy-Vee and see if they give us a week or a little time period where they round up for a cause for Rotary.
Well, I'll talk to him about it. Thanks. So this coming Tuesday, a couple quick things. Fuel for August. Dave Busick, our own Dave Busick, will be there to present. Join us at Freedom Blend Coffee. The coffee's on you. The fellowship is free. This is an absolutely great networking opportunity in an informal environment, so hope to see you guys there. And then mark your calendars for the open house that we are having at Rollins Mansion on August 28th from 5 to 7. Rollins Mansion is graciously providing us the space for an evening of fellowship. They're also going to provide light appetizers. We will have a cash bar, because some of you, of course, need the cash bar there, but that's fine. We will need you to RSVP by August 14th to Kitty to make sure we have the numbers correct. So signups will be in the bulletin next week. And again, another great fellowship opportunity outside of Thursdays in a relaxed setting. So again, apologize for running a few minutes late. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for being part of Rotary. Thank you to all our guests. And as we say every week, stay true to the good. We are adjourned.